Hey there, my name's Derek, I can't trade, I can't bank, and by God do I love ripping out furniture and putting it back and ripping out furniture and putting it back and getting a new contract and ripping out furniture and putting it back and chopping logs and chopping logs and ripping out furniture and chopping it back. This is gonna be a grind, isn't it? So here I am, doing the Mahogany Homes method for training construction. I actually started this grind back at around level 87, but I only just now started recording clips because, believe it or not, it's kind of difficult to get clips out of doing the exact same thing over and over for 100 hours. Ever since they added this method into the game, it's been a really good alternative to the quote-unquote normal method of training construction where you just build things in your player-owned house over and over. Yes, it is significantly slower than POH construction, but it's less intensive and way cheaper. And as it turns out, it's actually the flat-out best method for UIMs in general too. You can't use a butler as a UIM, so any logs you chop you have to take to the sawmill yourself to make planks, so if you were to use those planks to build stuff in your POH, it'd be about the same XP per hour as using them for Mahogany Homes, just way more expensive. So Mahogany Homes is clearly the best way to train construction, and it averages out to about 80k XP an hour for me if I'm paying decent attention, though I'm also doing clues when I get them, so that XP rate could be higher. And in practice, the XP per hour is way lower if I'm like talking with friends or watching videos or something. This is still a lot less XP per hour than if a non-UIM were doing Mahogany Homes, since I have to chop all my own logs, but hey, at least I got a nice 25k woodcutting XP per hour out of it. But what could justify doing an 80k XP an hour grind all the way to level 99? Well, at 99, I'm going to be able to buy the Construction Cape, which is easily in the running for the most important utility item in the game for UIMs. The perk of the Construction Cape is that it lets you teleport to your POH as well as any of the other POH portals around the game. Now that by itself doesn't sound like a lot, but let's dig into this a bit. To start off, the Cape lets you teleport to the 8 different house portals, but inside the POH, you can have a portal nexus, which teleports you to 30 different locations across the game. There's also 26 teleports from the jewelry box, which contains all the teleports from enchanted jewelry, and then there's 3 teleports from the Dig Side Pendant, and 5 from the mounted Xerix Talisman. I'll also have the mounted Mythical Cape to give me a teleport to the Myths Guild, and that's before we even get to the Garden. 47 teleports from the Fairy Ring, and 11 from the Spirit Tree, all coming to a total of 131 different places I can easily get to an infinite number of times.
Everybody got that?
But that is not all, because this is just an item in the inventory. That means I don't have to be on any particular spellbook to use it. And furthermore, I don't have to be carrying teleport runes on me everywhere I go. This item is going to make it so I can basically be on any spellbook I want at any time, and I can carry whatever runes I need for that spellbook without having to worry about being low on space because I also have teleport runes. Having the Construction Cape is going to make so much stuff so much easier on this account. So that's why it's worth doing this 110-hour grind, and if you'll excuse me, it looks like we just have 15 more to go. And here we are 15 efficient hours later, ready for the final contract. I got Life here on the Inquisitor account, I got my friend Biglaw here, and we also have Birdhome here, who's another UIM I met doing the same thing. So, let's get this over with. Oh, are you fucking... Alright, take 2. We also have my friend Angelic here now, so let's actually get this done. And 99 construction. It's over. And there is the cape that will be in my inventory for the rest of time. But, after all that, we seem to have a bit of a money problem. Let's fix that. Yeah, it turns out I had a Hydra task queued up this whole time. Isn't that convenient? This is the Alchemical Hydra. It drops this stuff, and I really want this thing in particular, but it's also going to make me a ton of money too. The Alchemical Hydra is the strongest Slayer boss in the game, and it is notorious for being the boss where if you do everything right, you take no damage whatsoever. Man. Oh, come on. Oh, you fucker.
Fuck the game.
It's also notorious for being a really good moneymaker too, from all the valuable drops it has, and although the money is going to be really nice, there is still one rare drop I'm looking for here, which is the Hydra's Claw. This thing combines with the Zamorakian Hasta from the God Wars dungeon to make the Dragon Hunter Lance. That lance is going to be really important for me when I go back to the Chambers of Xeric, so I would really like to get that claw sometime. Though if that's the thing I end up going really dry on, I guess it could be worse. Oh hey, that is a collection log item, the Alchemical Hydra heads. Not really too important, it's just a cosmetic thing that I don't really care about, but it's cool to get that knocked off the collection log. And that is my first duplicate Brimstone ring piece. I already have the full ring, so that will be a nice 60k alch. Okay, another Hydra head drop. Not exactly what I was going for game, but okay. Oh, and if you want to know how these things can be used, you can either mount them in your POH, which I don't really want to do since you have to build a new room for that, or you can bring them to the Dark Altar and sacrifice them for a tiny amount of prayer XP, just like that. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what the stand here to win tile is about, that is actually something I picked up from a whale stream. Normally what you do when you get into red phase is you wait until it starts walking to the place for the flame attack and then run to the flame skip tile, but what you can do instead is preemptively run to this specific tile where you can still hit the boss, but when it starts the flame attack, it'll actually trap you in the green section instead of the red section, and for some reason it'll fire the flame trail on the wrong side, basically just doing a flame skip without having to time anything. So all you have to do is, when it gets to red phase, run to that tile, and then you never have to worry about the flame skip again. And that is 500 KC at the Alchemical Hydra, halfway to the drop rate for the claw. Again, even if I go dry on the claw, there could be much worse things to go dry for, since you make so much money at the Hydra. And unfortunately, that is the end of the task. There is one more, but I'm out of supplies, so I'm just going to kill a regular Hydra. No claw, but I made so much money off of that, just half a task here. I love it. And now to get a new task. This is going to be the start of a pretty big Slayer grind, I think, since I need the claw, I also need a dragon pickaxe from KQ, and I also need a lot of money. Turoths, I can do that. I would normally skip Turoth tasks, but I'm going to do this one since they're not too bad, and I already have my range gear out, so I can just use my DHCB with broad bolts. And that is the task, and the next one is Dust Devils in the Smoke Dungeon. You know what, this is actually going to be kind of nice, because they added that Slayer-only area in there that is multi-combat, so I can just barrage them there, so let's do that. And so I went through quite a few Slayer tasks from Konar, which didn't really give me much good clip material, except for one really interesting reward from a hard clip. Ooh, okay, that is a Bandos plate body. This is actually a really important item for a UIM, since it's a part of the stash unit that lets you store a Bandos God Sword. The other item is the Bandos Cloak from Medium Clues. You may have noticed that there was no collection log pop up there, and that's because I actually got one of these really early on in the account, and I decided to just store it in the POH instead of keeping it in my looting bag for like years. But this is really interesting now that I got another one. I honestly think I'm going to keep this one and then just go for the Bandos Cloak and BGS sometime later. I already have a Shadow and good enough mage gear that I could theoretically just kill Bandos pretty easily using the mage method. Hey, there we go, Hydras, 179 of them, let's gear up. Okay, so I've made some slight changes to the setup. You may have noticed in the clips from the last task that I was on the Lunar spellbook and doing some weird spellbook swap shenanigans, and that's because I was trying to do a few different things from a few different spellbooks. I was using Cure Me on the Lunar spellbook, and High Alch on the normal one, and also Thralls on the Arceus one. I decided to drop the Thralls pretty early on, and I didn't want to re-gear or anything for the rest of that task, so I just stayed on Lunars, using Cure Me and swapping to the normal spellbook for High Alchs. But honestly, that was pretty inefficient since I had to bring a lot of extra runes to make that work, so what I'm doing instead is just bringing Antidote ++s and staying on the standard spellbook the whole time. So this also lets me just keep all the runes I normally have in my rune pouch and my noted antidotes in my inventory, which frees up a lot of bag space, so I won't have stuff overflowing into my inventory like I was last time. This means more inventory space for more food and prayer pots, which is really what matters at Hydra. Plus, it's also a lot more chill when you're not spellbook swapping all the time. Another Hydra tail. I swear I'm gonna end up with like a ton of these and the Hydra heads before I get the actual claw. And that is the end of the task. Let's see what we get next. Dust Devils in the Catacombs. Cool. Yes, Hydras, although this time it's only 134, but it's still good to see them. Ooh, well, there is my first duplicate Hydra leather. I already have the Ferocious Gloves, so that's 7 mil for the main, I guess. And another Hydra eye, pretty cool. And that is going to be the end of the task, unfortunately. Just going to do the last kill of the normal Hydras again. We're up to 826 KC now, so I think there's a decent chance the next task could get us above the drop rate for the Claw, which is pretty wild. Bit of a weird clip coming in here, the Dust Devils in the Smoke Dungeon, but here's 97 Slayer. I'm actually pretty surprised at how close I am to 99 in the grand scheme of things, because like, it feels like I haven't been doing much Slayer at all since I unlocked Hydra in the first place, but I guess a lot of that feeling comes from the fact that all the really big Slayer bosses get unlocked after 90 Slayer, since you have Serb at 91, and Thermi at 93, and Hydra at 95. But yeah, we'll be getting close to 99 Slayer surprisingly pretty soon, relatively speaking, which is cool. Alright, medium clue coming in from the Brine Rats of all things. Ooh, an Addy Bucket Helm. That may actually be my first Addy Bucket Helm on the account. Let's see. Oh yeah, that is in fact my first Addy Bucket Helm. Bit of a weird flex, but cool. And another medium clue. Ooh, Holy Sandals. That's actually really good. Those are actually single storable. They count as a Saradomin item, and they're the best in slot shoe item for prayer bonus, which means this may actually become my new boots for Hydra and maybe some other stuff. Ooh, is that... Ooh, that is the one with KQ in it. The Calphite Queen, one of the very few PVM bosses that was in the game at the launch of Old School. Since then it pretty quickly became dead content, but it was pretty recently revitalized by adding the Dragon Pickaxe to its drop table at a rate of 1 in 400. Previously, the D-Pick was only obtainable in the wilderness, so now there's a really good reason to start killing KQ again. There's a couple other reasons for me specifically. One of them is that it drops Noted Wines of Zamorak in bulk. It's actually one of the very few PVM activities to do that. And finally is the KQ head. There's a task in the Desert Elite Diary to get a KQ head and mount it in the POH, and the KQ head drops at a rate of 1 in 128. Although one nice thing about that is that it has bad luck protection on it, so at 256 KC you get a guaranteed one. Alright, we're going to be trying out this loadout to start with. You normally do range for the second phase, but apparently Shadow is surprisingly good here, and it's definitely going to be better than the best range loadout I could come up with. The thing that's making me nervous is the low amount of food I can bring in, but we'll see how things go, I guess. Okay, well that is the first kill. I think I'm gonna be making some changes soon because 6 sharks is not a lot of sharks, but we'll see how things go in general once I get more used to it. Ooh, hey, my first D-chain from KQ. I actually already got one from Thermi, and that's in the stash unit, so this is a nice little alk. And there is the first wine drop of many. I have like 1,500 bagged dwarf weeds to go through, so I'm gonna need a lot of these. Okay, I have changed things up a bit. First off, I bagged both the prayer pots and the antidotes since I don't really need prayer pots for 1-kill trips, and it turns out KQ doesn't actually poison you, so the only source of poison is the guardians and the soldiers who don't really poison you for that much anyway, so that puts me at 10 sharks that I can bring into the fight, which will definitely make things much easier than doing it with 6. Plus, if I really want to, I could also just drop my crystal shard stack for an 11th shark. There we go. That should be a combat achievement for killing it with vengeance. There aren't really many interesting combat achievements for KQ, it's mainly just this and killing it with Varric's Flail, which I'm not really interested in doing right now, and then there's a couple KC achievements. And there's 25 KC, combat task, and 50 KC, that is the last combat task we're going to be getting here for a long time I think, since I don't really have any interest in doing the Varric's Flail one, unless I end up really needing to scrape the bottom of the barrel for CA points. Oh, well, that's a KQ head. You know, honestly, I think I probably would have been fine going dry for this, since I still have other reasons to kill KQ anyway, but I guess it's nice I'll be able to get the Desert Diary done and use the shortcut now. Okay, so apparently what I need to do here is get the KQ head stuffed at the taxidermist, and then I can mount it in the POH and talk to it for the diary task, and there we go. Cool. Now to get rid of this room because I want a 3x3 house again. Well, this changes the plans a bit, I guess. This was the one really big thing keeping me from doing the Desert Elite Diary, but there are still a couple other things I need. One is 95 Fletching boostable, and the other is 85 Prayer unboostable. The good news is I can get both of those levels really easily right now. For Prayer, I have a bunch of noted dragon bones from Hydra that I was going to wait to use until I got the Claw, but now I have an actual reason to want to go through those. And for Fletching, I have the money to make a ton of broad arrows, and I also have a ton of noted U-logs to get the arrow shafts. Guess let's go ahead and do the Fletching one first. And there is about 287,000 arrow shafts. That was the least fun part since I can't really pair it with anything, but while I'm attaching the feathers and arrow tips, I'll be able to do it at pest control, which will give me some passive prayer XP while still being really chill, as opposed to doing it at like herbivore or something. By the way, I decided I am going to go straight to 91 fletching, since that way I won't have to stew boost at all, but I will be able to use a dragon fruit pie to get a guaranteed boost to 95. And now I need to get the feathers to turn these into headless arrows. Now, finally, time for some pest control. Fletching training on a UIM is really nice since you can pair it up with something else to zero time it. So for example, I'm currently in a game of pest control and I'm doing enough damage to keep my contribution meter up, but I'm mainly just spending most of the time making arrows. I'm sure my team loves me for this. But the important part is that I can get the same amount of points as if I were fully focusing on pest control, so I'll be getting a small bit of prayer XP while doing this. It's not even close to meta for prayer training, about like 26k XP an hour, but it's basically a nice bonus while I'm doing the fletching. Okay, so I have been doing this for a bit now, and it is slowly starting to hit me that this grind is going to be longer than I thought. I'm making about 20k headless arrows per hour, which means it'll take about 15 hours of PC fletching to get all the headless arrows made. Another 15 hours to make the actual broad arrows means it'll be 30 hours of gameplay until I have the fletching level. And then I'm going to have to go through over 1,000 dragon bones, one inventory at a time, and then I'm going to have to get the agility level to even use the shortcut in the first place. Well, I guess I won't be getting back to that Slayer task for a while.